Salutations, fam. This is Dark Arim from Haltessiagaming, and bit of a story time before we get into the deck profile. But a couple of weeks ago, I went to like 4 tournaments in a week. Basically, what happened was I went to the first tournament, I didn't top, and I was like, okay, we gotta top. So I went to the next tournament, then I didn't top, and basically I went to like 4 tournaments that week, and I kind of just like got bopped at all of them. Because the thing about this format is that it's kind of die rolly, if I'm going to be honest. A lot of people told me like, oh, just play like, the going second card so you don't lose to like Scythe and like Protos. But the thing about those cards is that like you kind of have to stop them before they get there. Like if Scythe comes out, it doesn't matter if you like have a Dark Ruler no more because you're still locked out of the extra deck, Doesn't really matter if you have a Dark Ruler no more for, Protos because you're still locked out of summoning monsters. And so I went back to the drawing board and I said, okay, I need to adjust to the format. I can't just like, keep doing something that's clearly not working. So I was like, what decks do I have that don't lose to Protos and Scythe and Imperial Order and all the other floodgates that are in the format right now? And I kind of narrowed it down to 3 decks. Dinos was like one that kind of like immediately came to mind because, you don't care about your extra deck and you have a bunch of different types. But it, like with Protos, once they know you're on Dino, they just kind of call light, so you can't summon UCT, and that kind of kills that. I liked Blue Eyes because even though like you don't really care that much about being locked out of your extra deck because you have boss monsters in the main deck, but once again, once they know what you're on, Proto still kind of destroys you. And so I actually ended up settling for Eldlich because that's a deck that doesn't really care about any of the floodgates. It's actually a very powerful deck this format, and like you don't really care about Protos because you aren't really going to be summoning monsters during your turn, and you can actually summon your monsters before Protos hits the board. So it's like you have some value out of that. So yeah, that's what I ended up playing and what I've been playing for the last couple of weeks. I've been playing Eldlich, and I gotta tell you, it's been very, very strong. I've lost, I want to say like 90% of my die rolls, and I've won pretty much all but like 5 matches over the last like 3 weeks that I've been playing the deck. And my most recent tournament, which is probably going to be the last tournament for me of the year because, we're getting close to the holiday season. I usually like chilled out. I might play in another tournament, who knows, but that's probably the last serious tournament for me this year. And I made it to finals. I made a very critical misplay in finals. So basically, I opened like evenly matched plus like a kaiju, and I didn't kaiju the DPE because okay, so I looked at my hand. I knew I had the evenly matched, but like PK combo is like really long, so I forgot I had the kaiju. And so I didn't kaiju the DPE, and that ended up losing me the game because it, in response to the evenly, he just like popped his cards, and like the DPE kept coming back, and you know how that goes. It's like it just makes it so difficult for you to like get established when like he can keep bringing that back and popping your cards, and like legitimately the DPE is the reason I lost that game. And but yeah, that's just how it is. Overall though, like the deck's very, very strong, and it's very much not like standard just very like I'm a budget player at heart, so it's like I never really have like the best cards you can play. I always just kind of find like weird stuff from my bulk that I've had for like 20 years to just like end up playing. But without further ado, I'm gonna hop right into the deck profile, and I'll talk about the weird stuff when it comes up. So to start things off, very, very standard. We have the 2 copies of Golden Lord, very, very standard at this point. You don't want to brick on him. I honestly kind of wish I played 3 sometimes, but specifically because I played the mirror in top 8, and he played 3 Golden Lord, and that just made it so hard. But I did end up winning because of the other stuff I'm playing in my deck that I'll get to later. 3 copies of Lord of the Heavenly Prison. Oh my god. When I first started playing this deck, I wasn't playing 3 of this. Incorrect. You always play 3 of this. This card's so insane. Like, so I thought you played this because you wanted to protect your back row. That's not why you play this. You play this because it's 3 extra copies of every single card in your deck, basically. Pretty much every single time that I use the effect to special, I'm setting a Sanguine, off of its effect, and that's, more engine. Or I'm setting another card, which I'll get to later. 3 copies of Nib in the main, because one of the things I realized with early iterations of the deck was that the problems that I was running into was that I didn't have enough monsters, actually. So I wanted to play Nib because this is actually like pretty good right now, because you have like PK, you've got Sorto, you've got Bird Up, you've got a lot of decks in the format that just kind of get bodied by Nib. And yeah, like at the case tournament that I entered, maining Nib was insane because I played against several decks that just kind of like died to Nib. It was so good. And now we get to the spice of the deck. So 1 copy of Electromagnetic Turtle, 1 copy of Flowerbot, 1 copy of Elemental Hero Neos, and 3 copies of Neos Fusion. So I'm playing this engine in the deck, and I have to tell you, it overperformed. It was so good. So originally I was playing like Extrab and like Pot of Dualities and like Foolish Barrel Goods, but I realized it was better to have more monsters rather than having more access to monsters, if that makes sense. And so it became down to like Neos Fusion, the Neos engine, or like the Red Eyes Fusion engine, or like Rainbow Dragon, right? And ultimately I decided that I wanted to play this engine because I liked the bricks better. Because with this engine, the bricks, you can normal summon the bricks. So it's like you can still get value out of them even if you draw them. And the thing I like about this deck specifically is that aside from literally Elemental Hero Neos, every single card in the deck is good to draw. If you draw anything in the deck. So pretty much over the course of the entire tournament, every single hand, all 5 cards were live. And there were several times where literally I would like draw the pieces and I would normal summon them and it would like win me the game. I think one game in particular where I played against the Water Xyz deck, he had the 2 cards that like float when they get destroyed. One of them I used the Haquero Conch line to like, destroy it and then banish it before it got to trigger. And then for the other one, I actually outed it with something I'll show later. But and then what ended up happening was that Flowerbot went to grave, the mulligan effect triggered, and I ended up drawing, I think I ended up like drawing Neos Fusion, and that was the extra damage that I needed to actually like win the game. And then like in another game that I played, I drew Electromagnetic Turtle plus Evenly Match, and it's such a stupid interaction. I set Turtle pass. He committed like all of his resources into an OTK. I killed the turtle. I used Turtle's effect to make it the end of the battle phase, and then I evenly him and I won the game. It was so stupid. But just in general, so the thing is that I would lose to with this deck was that I would lose because I couldn't stick a monster, or I would lose because they drew like a blowout card and they like OTK'd me before like my traps replenished themselves. So Electromagnetic Turtle kind of like prevents them from like just randomly OTKing you. And like, well, there's that stupid interaction with Evenly Matched, so it's pretty nice. But onto the trap cards, because this is an Eldlich deck. 3 copies of each of the Eldlich traps. 3 Scarlet, 3 Conch, 3 Haquero. Yeah, I'm playing 3 of each because I kind of want to see this engine. If I lose, it's because I couldn't stick a monster, and well, these are your monsters. But because they're traps, a lot of the negates people are making just don't do anything. 1 copy of Skill Drain, because this card doesn't do anything to me. It kind of destroys everything else in the format. 3 copies of Evenly Match in the main. I didn't really want to care about like winning the die roll, and I'm glad I did this because the entire 3 weeks that I've been playing this deck, I've won about 3 die rolls. I lose like 90% of my die rolls, and I've won every single game when I've played with this deck, except for literally, I want to say 2. I think there's only been 2 times where I've lost game 1 the entire 3 weeks I've been playing this deck. And it was literally because I didn't see a monster. Both times, that's what happened. But yeah, we got the 3 copies of Torrential Tribute, 3 copies of TC Boo. So basically, I wanted more copies of Torrential Tribute, and it was between this and Ice Dragon's Prison. And Ice Dragon's Prison is better sometimes, TC Boo's better sometimes, but I like TC Boo because TC Boo's better going second most of the time, because you can set this and this kind of breaks boards as well. IDP is also really insane. It's like, honestly, it could be either or. They're both really, really good. But I just happened to play TC Boo this time around. Counter traps, we got 3 copies of Solemn Strike, 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. And then last, the one power card that absolutely should be banned is Imperial Order. This is, honestly, this was the last straw that made me like play this deck. Was so I was playing against, it was actually against Sword Soul, where it's like, I got hit with Protos plus Order both games that I lost, and that's what made me stop playing Dragon Link and what led me to play this deck in the first place. But yeah, the fact that I can main deck Order and just destroy everything is just, it's so strong. But yeah, that's it for the main deck. It's 40 cards. And now we move on to the extra deck. Another reason why I'm not playing extra is because my extra deck is actually like kind of relevant to like actually use it quite a bit. 1 copy of Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. I'll get to this later. 1 copy of Brave Neos. So let me go ahead and talk about this. So do you see the materials for that? Do you see that? That says 1 level 4 or lower effect monster. That's broken. And I absolutely haven't like fully explored how broken I can be with that. But it's insane. Which, like, to put it in perspective, I could send Celestial with this card. It's so stupid. But yeah, I played this over like the Rainbow Neos because I wanted to play as few bricks as possible. I didn't play Dragoon because Neos Fusion is actually similar to Fusion Destiny, where you can just like make your plays and then like just end your turn with Neos Fusion. And then you have, goes like with Red Eye Fusion, it's like Dragoon is like stronger, but like it's so limiting because it's like if you Red Eye Fusion, that's the only thing you get to do that turn. And it's just, I didn't want to be, I wanted to have more options, if that makes sense. Like there's a lot of different options that I considered, and those cards and those options raise the ceiling of the deck, but I wanted something that raised the floor of the deck, if that makes sense. And it was definitely the correct choice because I drew a lot of the worst possible hands I could draw over the course of the event, and they were still game-winningly strong because of the fact that like pretty much every card in the deck is live. But yeah, and then we have the 1 copy of Elder Entity, freaking Eldlich Horror, whatever her name is, I'm not going to pronounce that. And then the 1 copy of Cyframe Lord Omega. Sometimes you play against Dogmatica. I had one game where a guy summoned Maximus on me. He activated the effect. I sent Entis Omega, and we were Gucci. It was great. The 1 copy of Gustav Max, the 1 copy of Juggernaut Lieb. This did win me a game one time. So against like Kraken, the Water Xyz deck, whatever, that like the Crooked Crook thing, right? So he attacked me directly because I didn't have anything on the board and he didn't know what I was playing yet. And then he left the Crooked Cook in attack, and so it can't be destroyed by battle. So like I just kind of kept punching him with Lieb and I killed him. And that's actually, I actually played against the Crooked Cook, like the Water Xyz deck a couple of times, and we used this to like burn like under a Crooked Cook one time as well. It was pretty crazy. And then we have 2 copies of Link Spider. This card's pretty good. You link off your Eldlich traps like this. 1 copy of Hip Hoshinigan. This actually won me a game in the mirror. So basically, I use this to put game on board, and yeah, like it only came up one time, but it came up and it won me a game, so I can't complain. Um, BLS, this card's insane. I summon it way more than I need to because I just be liking to flex my misprint BLS. But also the card's actually kind of nuts because I realize that a lot of stuff in the format targets right now. And like if you summon this, Torrential doesn't do anything. Conk doesn't do anything. Like a lot of cards suddenly don't do anything. And you can just kind of attack over one thing, make it 45, and this bad boy's just like impossible to out. He's not actually impossible to out, but he's still like an insane card. And like you can make him untargetable, undestructible very easily because like Golden Lord's over level 7, Neos is over level 7, Nibiru is over level 7, Sky Prison's over level 7. And it's pretty easy to make him. And then the last relevant card in the extra deck, Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. This is, so back to what I was talking about earlier where I played against the Order Xyz deck. So I used the Conquero combo to out one of the Kragans, and then I linked off the other one with Underworld Goddess. And like I used it to link off a Crooked Cook as well. And it's just, so I actually was just playing it to out like those weird cards that you can't normally out. But like, apparently Underworld Goddess has an effect. Apparently this card is like unaffected by stuff and it has a negate. And I was like, what? This card has an effect? Oh, wow. This is a good card. And yeah, this card won me a lot of games. And then the last 4 cards in my extra deck are actually Cherry's target. So I'm playing Monk of the Tenyi to banish for Soul, Cherubini for PK, Simorglink for Bird Up, and Dragoon because, oh my god, I struggle to deal with Dragoon. Anytime a Dragoon actually hits the board, it takes me like 5 cards to deal with it. Yeah, it was a struggle. But yeah, onto the side deck, we've got, all right, let's see. If you've been watching the channel for a long time, what do you think the first card is? If you guessed Pankratops, you are correct. It's always going to be Pankratops. Then we got 2 copies of Godarla. I'm playing this kaiju because, you know, barrier statue, and I figured, you know, if I'm playing kaijus, I might as well play the wind kaiju. 3 copies of Winter Cherries. Card's actually kind of nuts when you don't need your extra deck. So this won me a couple of games, especially because I wait for them to activate the Verte and then I chain Cherries to banish the Dragoon. Or I wait for them to activate, you know, stuff. Basically, I like to wait till they commit to the play where they would summon the card, and then I Cherries it out of their extra deck. It's pretty good. And then 3 copies of Maxi. I'm kidding, it's not Maxi, but it might as well be because this card is Discount Maxi. So we got Spooky Dogwood. Interestingly enough, for some reason, people think this card is only good in time. No. Turns out gaining 40,000 life points is kind of good. Let me explain why. Let me explain to you the scenario where this card shines. So basically, what happens is I activate this card in response to my opponent activating an effect that's going to special summon something. So I never lose life points off this card. I always gain life. My opponent is now faced with a question. Do they take the Maxi challenge and full combo and give me 40,000 life points? Or do they just pass? Pretty much outside of one specific match, everyone passes. Because if you give me 40,000 life points, what that means is that you are not killing me next turn. And the reason why that's impactful is that means that I can just pass turn and draw another card. And what that means is that increases the chance that you lose to Torrential Strike or Evenly Strike, because Torrential Strike kind of destroys pretty much every board in the format. And in general, just that gaining that extra life and meaning that like you can't kill me, like that has been the difference maker so many times. And like literally there was one dude who like he did full PK combo. I had like 40,000 life points. I literally didn't do anything and he still wasn't able to kill me. Even like just going just hard, just put as much damage on possible, he was not able to kill me. And then he lost to Evenly Matched. It was, you know, it was really strong. But yeah, most of the time, people actually just pass on no interruption, which is cool because then I can just go, my turn, draw, set 5, go ahead. And now they have to play through all my stuff. So basically, this kind of serves the same function as like Dimension Shifter in Trap decks, where it basically says, no, I go first because they stop. And then we have 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. This card's pretty good, this format. Yeah, just in general, I like hand traps post game 1 because people are going to side in all the back row hate. And you have like powerful hand traps, which, you know, still end people's turns, but they don't lose to like the blowout cards. You still have these. And then the last 3 cards are, you know, a bit of a interesting tech that I've been trying out is Fist of the Unrivaled Tenyi. So this is just an Omni Negate counter trap if you have any of the Golden Lands on board. Because the Golden Lands are non-effect monsters, so they make these live. But this also has like a built-in kind of like Waking the Dragons thing, where if they destroy this, if they destroy it, then you get the special summon Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon from the extra deck. So that's why I'm playing Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. I only summoned Blue Eyes like 1 time because somebody like Nightmare Phoenix this, and I was just like, I could have negated the Phoenix, but I was just like, I mean, I might as well just let them pop in and summon the Ultimate Dragon. So I just did that. And then the last card is Golden Land Forever, effectively the searchable counter trap. You only lose to blowout cards and not seeing a monster. So the extra counter traps in the side, you're playing counter traps in the main. And then just in general, like you have a lot of like insurance against that kind of stuff because a lot of your stuff is chainable anyway. But yeah, that's going to be it for the deck profile. Yeah, deck's been performing absolutely insane. The Neos Fusion engine is absolutely broken, and I definitely have not realized the full potential of it. I'm definitely going to keep messing around with it. But yeah, that's going to be it for this deck profile. This has been Darkslayer Arim from Haltessiagaming. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.